It's not the nurses asking, it's union buttholes. Yeah. I always try to make this very clear though. I'm not talking about the members of unions or the members of American Nurses Association. They're just getting played by it. It's the top of American Nurses Association. It's the top of National Nurses United. It's your Bonnie Costellos, Deborah Berger. They know what they're going along with. They do. I mean, if they're still misguided, if they were misguided enough to think that open borders is something they should support, then they should question what they're the leader of, because they're not leading healthcare very well. Then, not in nursing, because that leads to more trafficking. Open borders. But then I haven't seen any of these organizations doing the right thing, which is why American Nurses Association blocked me. They shouldn't be supporting transgenderism on children because of the evidence of the frontal lobe not being formed. But they're not focused on evidence. They're using this word evidence, and I'll show you in a minute how ridiculous these papers are, and there's so many of them. And they'll pull in new nurses believing this. Oh, yes, we have to think about global health. No, that makes no sense at all. It's more appropriate. It's more, ethical to just focus on your own country. But they seem focused on having nurse migration, bringing nurses in here from other countries because they threw the American nurses under the bus. And I would say they've been doing this for a long time, though. I think that's why they're arrogant in all of this, because I'll show you in a second, one of their papers, but they're all like this. They're very arrogant. Because American Nurses Association, even though they were elected to absolutely nothing, they've been around. They're an alumni. They've been around for a long time, and they've been tied to the International Nurse Council. It's just, I would say, over the Obama years, they got a lot of power, especially through California with the big nursing union out there. But all these nurses are getting played. I mean, if they really sat back and listened to what I'm saying. They've been thrown under the bus. They're paying these people who has thrown them under the bus. But they sit there and say, yeah, we're going to get you better staffing. And then their answer would be, in order to get better staffing, we're going to have to migrate nurses here. But I think a lot of them are going to be implicated. I'm not talking about the members. I'm talking about the people that knew what they were going along with. I think they're going to be implicated in trafficking when this is all said and done. I do. Because Doctors Without Borders is a non-governmental organization that Glenn Beck just did a show on how, and I don't think it's doctors doing it, but they're tied to that organization, whoever it is, and they're giving maps to people telling them how to get here, which way to go, where the rest, that's a link in the trafficking chain. So if there's any coercing going on in other countries, like, oh, your country's been decimated by climate change, which isn't even a thing. I mean, the climate changes, but it's not some, oh, it's coming to kill us detriment here that they've been trying to make it out to be. But that's what they've been using, is this climate crap. And they're, what really the International Nurse Council has done, they have ruined nursing in many countries. They have. And it seems like also they can have their nurse migration. The two number one things American Nurses Association focuses on, even though they may tell you something else or the unions tell you something else, but the two biggest things they're tied to is nurse migration and migrants and refugees. I know it's cut off, but just this is how ridiculous what they write is and how arrogant. Aspects of American society and nursing has especially been impacted over the past few decades. Global issues such as nurse migration, pandemic infections, natural disasters, man-made disasters, and geopolitical unrest have made it clear that no nation can remain isolated and unaffected by world events and trends. With these facts, they're not facts. The American Organization of Nurse Executives, leaders and members increasingly understand, no, they understand nothing, that leaders, along with their communities and healthcare organizations, work in all arenas from local to national and international. Now, well, what do you think they're trying to do here? They're trying to let you know that, no, we're now a global health system. Yeah, So Venezuela went to the socialist healthcare system, and it ruined healthcare. I've always tell people that's the best example to use. It's good, just go and look at the pictures of what happened. So that's what these people want to do. Just imagine how bad it'll be. But who are these people to decide that no, nurses are going to have to migrate to other countries or come in here? No, they're just trying to get cheap labor. That's all it is. Because if they can get illegal immigrants in here, then they're undocumented. So then it's really cheap for the hospitals. Because these illegal immigrants that are here right now, all of them, they have all these freedoms that you and I don't. They can get on a plane without ID and all of that. They can. It's already a known fact. And these people aligned with the very people that are using our tax money to do all this at the border. But it's not just at the border, it's outside the border through the non-governmental organizations. This is how political it is, too. I know this is also cut off, but, their papers are long and ridiculous. The marginalization of migrants, especially undocumented migrants, leads to enormous healthcare barriers. Nurses have historically been advocates for migrants and refugees, and nurses today interact with migrants and refugees in healthcare systems and in communities throughout the world. Promoting the health of migrants and refugees is a matter of social justice, and this coming from the International Council of Ethics for Nursing, or for nurses, emphasizes that nurses play a pivotal role in advocating for social justice and equity, including resource allocation, and I can't see all of it, but you see it's all, social justice has no business, none whatsoever, in healthcare. Social justice is directly tied to socialism, Karl Marx, basically communism. It is. It has no business in healthcare, yet it's all over healthcare right now because of these people that are so arrogant, and they have aligned themselves with trafficking organizations. But I think that they have for a while. I think they have for a long time, actually. It's just that people came awake to a lot of it and looked into it. I mean, that's what I did in 2020, started looking into this. Because I would see some of the headlines that these National Nurses United put out, like open borders, and I thought, what is wrong with you? How can you sit there on one hand and write a paper about how you know so much about trafficking and how horrible it is, yet you support something that would help increase like 100-fold the trafficking of human beings? But I think they know that. I think there's a reason even to this day that the hospitals have never made trafficking and with all the education nurses have to do, there's still never been the number one pandemic, which has been the true pandemic, which is trafficking. Modern day slavery. Not one healthcare system in the United States has made that the number one priority. No, they've made social justice the number one priority. Because I think even though the members aren't tied to it, it's not a matter of think. They are tied to organizations that have been trafficking, coercing. And so even though for many years they likely have gotten away with that because they care more about what the UN laws say than what America's laws say, well, I have a feeling, though, that when the ship turns around and somebody else gets in office and it goes back to America first, something global nursing wouldn't like, but goes back to America first, well, I think that they'll all have to be investigated. Because if Doctors Without Borders is implicated in this, I guarantee you, these nursing organizations, there's a reason the healthcare system hasn't wanted to focus or educate anyone in the healthcare system on what a pandemic human trafficking is. And it's because they are linked, the heads of these organizations, with the UN, and they are the biggest trafficking organization on the planet. They do it all through their non-governmental organizations. I think these nurses at the top, not the members, some of them I think will be implicated for being complicit in trafficking.